Arteta has until today, close of business today, Friday, the 24th of November, to respond to his FA charge. Now, we know that he was charged due to his comments after the Newcastle versus Arsenal game. He called the officiating disgraceful. He was also backed by Arsenal Football Club, who released an official statement. You remember the likes of Jamie Carragher condemned this. Gary Neville said that it was a dangerous act for football and made a really big claim that this could bring the game into disrepute. That is what the charge also covers. And a lot of people have told Mikel Arteta that he is deflecting from what they believe to have been a bad performance by Arsenal. And that Arsenal, the football club, and the majority of football fans worldwide, no matter who you support, should stop blaming referees, whether the decisions are correct, inconsistent, whether they are a complete failure, whether protocols are followed or not. We are now being told we should not challenge. We should not ask for transparency. We should not condemn these mistakes because it brings the game into disrepute. The interesting thing here is that in the same period of time, we have seen Maurizio Pochettino walk onto the football pitch at the end of the game against Man City and physically confront and verbally berate to the face of a referee. Poch and De Zerbi, we'll get onto De Zerbi in a minute. De Zerbi actually came out and said, and I will make sure I quote this right, that he admitted that he hates, that's his words, hates 80% of Premier League managers. He was warned about his actions. Poch warned about his actions but escapes punishment. It is very hard to argue that Arsenal haven't been singled out here. They can argue that. There's a tweet that's come out here from Patrick Timmons who says De Zerbi admits he hates 80% of the Premier League managers, no charge. Pochettino enters the pitch at full time to confront Anthony Taylor, no charge. Arteta questions the level of officiating in England and he's charged. And for me, this is a clear example of what I would refer to as two-tier officiating. What's good for the goose isn't for the gander. There's an irony in this that all football fans should take note of. And I've been calling for this for a long time. I think the tribalism has got to go. And the reason that I say this is because it's probably fun to laugh at Arteta. Oh, he's got charged. We got away with it. Oh, De Zerbi didn't get in trouble. Ha ha. Hold the L. Take that. Cry more. The atypical response. But let's deep this for a minute. The officiating off the pitch, i.e. these charges, is two-tiered and highly inconsistent. And for me, that is a mirror image of what we are seeing on the football pitch. And the fact that this is being brushed over is harrowing to me. If I look at this from a football standpoint, this is a disgrace. This past 2 weeks has been a huge focus upon financial doping, FFP, profit and sustainability. People calling for harsh punishments and for the Premier League and the officials to ensure that clubs are sustainable, ensure that the rules are consistently followed, to make sure nobody is cheating. The same very people are almost quiet and silent on the day-to-day erosion of our game through these inconsistencies. And I saw a really interesting comment that was sent through to me earlier on this week that said, if there was no VAR, Terry, Newcastle's goal would have stood. So, absolutely correct. It would have done. It was given in real time. But we do have VAR. We do have the chance to relook at things. And the biggest standout issue with that whole goal in isolation was the push in the back and how they said there's no chance of knowing the force in that. Yet the majority of those types of pushes, little pulls on shirts, little holding of arms, have resulted in penalties and goals being disallowed consistently through VAR. What we are asking for as football fans, what I believe Arteta was calling out and Arsenal have called out, what Liverpool did a few weeks ago, what Wolverhampton Wanderers have done this season on a number of occasions when they have been robbed, is say, why the inconsistency? Can you explain the differences to us so we have an understanding? And I was called out this last week. Because I believe this is a slippery slope that we are going down. And it's interesting because a slippery slope, and I want to give you the actual definition here because I researched when somebody sent it to me because it was a really good challenge and I love being challenged. Slippery slope, a course of action likely to lead to something bad or disastrous. And I believe the way we are handling this poor officiating at the moment is a slippery slope. However, I was told I was using a slippery slope fallacy because essentially there is no empirical evidence to back my claim that if we continue to act tribalistically, if we continue to see the media defend the referees, if we attack managers and clubs for calling out these inconsistencies, there's no empirical evidence it's going to make football worse. And that's a fair shout. It's a fair challenge. I'm basing this, though, on the fact that we now have, I think, pre-VAR, that could be very true because everything's in real time. There is no way to, barring video footage of elbows and violent conduct, there was very little ways to retrospectively fix mistakes made in games or to fix inconsistencies. The reason why I think this could turn into something bad or disastrous for football in terms of real bad incidents moving forward, anger from fans, people being sued, is because they're setting precedents that move subjectivity away. The VAR, PGMOL, have now stated that there is no way of knowing the force in the back that Joe Linton put on Gabriel. That now takes something from being a subjective opinion to being more of an objective view. Because how do we ever know now? How do we ever know now whether there's enough force or not to commit a foul? I don't see how you can guess that. I get it's subjective, but you've got to explain how you come to your conclusion. What is it you're going to focus on? What is it that's going to show you that Højlund's little grab on Rodri was enough to spin him 360 in the air, spin him 360 and make him fall over? And Joe Linton leaning on the back of the top of the neck, bottom of the neck and top of the back had not enough force in it to make Gabriel fall forward. You as officials, you as the FA, you as the PGMOL have to explain how you come to your subjective decision. The fact that explanation, that understanding, the most important element the question you could ever ask, the why behind the what. I don't really care for what you think. I want to know why you think it and how you've come to that conclusion. We're never given that information. And this is going to lead to more and more anger and more problems. And this could end up in disaster. In the same way that if we don't treat financial sustainability and profitability correctly, it could end up in disaster for this game. This could also do it. Now, I don't want to see referees abused. I don't want to see referees attacked. I don't want to see referees at any level hurt physically. Understand that. So one, we need more consistency in decisions and more transparency. And two, anybody that steps outside the laws being broken, let's just say Arteta has broke the rules. Let's all agree on that. How can two other managers then get away with it? All you're going to do is kick a hornet's nest and it ends in a bad situation. You get articles like you see here from Oliver Holt. The way he spoke and the way he's written about Arteta in this article is beyond unprofessional. And in my opinion, is another red rag to the Bulls in multiple directions. You'll make it worse for the refs in some cases. You make it worse for Arsenal in some cases. I do not believe this is a slippery slope fallacy. This isn't, by the way. And do you know what? I genuinely wish this wasn't Arsenal it was happening to. Because I know the comments will say, oh, Terry's only doing this for clicks. Terry's only talking about Arsenal because it makes him money. Terry's a secret Arsenal fan. The usual drivel, the usual defense or attack against Arsenal, or the usual way people try and debunk my arguments. This is not about Arsenal per se. They are being officiated in a two-tier way. That is obvious to see. But these inconsistencies are a major problem for football moving forward. The technology we now have, the ability to share information with the populace is so strong that you can create the consistency, create the transparency, and ensure that officiating gets better. That way, everything improves. So I don't expect to see this weekend a single foul given for pushing in the back, slight tugs, slight pulls, because there's no way of knowing the force in them. In fact, you could apply that logic to most tackles, to most areas where it looked like it was forceful, but how do you know? And this is what I mean. by slippery slope. You create a problem where theoretically this could lead to a situation where proper fouls are not being given. Goals are being scored that should not exist. Penalties are being awarded for nothing. That, in my opinion, throws the game into bigger disrepute than a manager calling it out. And that is what we've got to fight for here, is that transparency and that understanding. And until we have it, the game will be in danger of going wrong. Listen, I'd love to get your opinions on what they've done to Arsenal and Arteta here by not charging other managers. Is this a bit of medicine that Arsenal have got to swallow? Should they just suck it up? Should we be leaving referees alone? Or does this crusade against huge inconsistencies, a lack of transparency, need to continue? Do us a big favor and hit the like button. Please make sure you're subscribing to the Terrace as well. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon.